This video will be looking at the Soviet response to the Truman Doctrine and martial aid. The Soviets' response to these programs were in the form of Cominform and Comecon. Stalin responded to Truman's speech in 1947 by creating the Communist Information Bureau, also known as Cominform. The organization was created to bring unity to communist countries behind the Iron Curtain. Members of Cominform would meet regularly in Moscow so that Stalin could ensure that all countries were following the same policies. Stalin saw the Truman Doctrine as a direct threat to communism and took the opportunity to bring Eastern European communist governments closer to Moscow. Stalin used Cominform to keep closer control over the communist countries behind the Iron Curtain. Stalin saw the Marshall Plan as a clear attempt by the USA to gain greater influence in Europe. Stalin had hoped that the USA's post-war involvement in Europe would be limited, but it was clear that it was going to be long-term. Martial aid was seen as an example of dollar imperialism, the idea that the USA spreads its influence and power around the world using money. Stalin believed the USA was using its wealth to secure the position of capitalism in the world. Stalin believed that countries that accepted martial aid would be loyal to the USA in the future, so he was concerned when Czechoslovakia and Hungary, a country within the Soviet sphere of influence, expressed interest in receiving American money. Stalin made it clear that the countries in Eastern Europe should not accept martial aid. Instead, the USSR introduced an equivalent, Comecon, in 1949. The aim of Comecon was to provide support and bring economic stability to Eastern European countries. It meant that the Eastern European countries would not need to accept martial aid or even trade with the West. Unlike the Marshall Plan, Comecon didn't involve one wealthy country supporting poorer ones. Instead, countries were to work together to share knowledge and resources in a way that would benefit them all. Officially, it was a union of equal partners, but in reality, all decisions were made by Moscow and the USSR. Despite being a communist country, Yugoslavia's relationship with Moscow was unique. Unlike most of Eastern Europe, Yugoslavia had not been liberated from Nazi rule by the USSR. Instead, an uprising had taken place within the country, and Yugoslavia's leader, Tito, had no loyalty to Stalin or the USSR. Despite this, relations were good at first between the two countries, but Tito repeatedly went against Stalin's wishes in the years leading up to 1948 in order to show independence. The final straw was when Tito defied Stalin and sought martial aid. Yugoslavia was expelled from Cominform and became a totally independent communist country. It was the only communist state in Europe outside of the Iron Curtain.